Are we starting?
So I remember a time when you and I went over our brother's house. You had just gotten here from Texas, and our brother did not know you were in town, and we were going to surprise him.
How are we going to do that?
Do you remember what happened as we were walking up into his house?
Well, you know, he leaves his garage door open all the time.
Yes,
and all sorts of critters and flying objects can get in there and make nests.
Tell me why that is. Well, I'll tell you. His house is like a jungle, and he likes it that way. He does not cut anything, and he has trees that are overgrown and bushes that are overgrown, and that's a very good environment for growing bugs.
And other critters that crawl.
And other critters.
Yes.
So walking up to the house, we were not only afraid of crawling things, but
flying things.
Mm-hmm. And what happened there?
Well, you know, I've always been afraid of leaves and other things that hit me, you know.
Yes.
And one of my other particular things that scares the holy, you know, out of me is a wasp.
Yes,
and
sir.
You know how they hang over you like a helicopter, you know, trying to get in your hair or around you and bzz, bzz, bzz. Well, you know what we did, right?
I agree. They scare me too.
Well, we were just a little ways from their back door, and we had no time to alert them we were on our way in. So what did we do?
Here's this bug flying around our heads, and we're both going, ah, ah, ah. What were you doing? Ah, ah,
we were screaming, bloody.
No. Ah, ah, ah. Don't get me! Don't go get me! Don't get me! And we got to the door, and we opened that door fast as we could. We flung into the house. We ran in screaming.
And they were in shock. They must have heard us screaming from the inside, hearing the screaming on the outside of the door. But then, and they were right by the door when we flung ourselves in there.
Who was in there?
I think it was our brother and his wife.
Oh, yes, it was. That's right.
And I think we scared them to death.
Not only did we scare them to death because we flew in the door, weren't saying hi, didn't say, oh, glad to see you, or did you know Andy's in town? Andrea's in town. No.
We flew in that door and slammed it behind us.
And then did the hoobie-jeebies because we were making sure it wasn't around us or on us.
And that was our grand entry, letting our brother know that I had made it come to Arizona as a surprise. Surprise on them.
You surprised them better than any other time. The funniest thing is I wish I'd had a picture of their faces. I think their mouths were wide open. And they were like in shock and not moving. Just like, what? Oh.
It was like, well, is there a burglar or a murderer following you or something?
Oh.
No, just a little bug.
What a great entrance into the surprise world. What? What a great entrance to surprise them that you were there. I love it. You know, that wasp story reminds me of when we were younger and we went to church at a real small little church there in Odessa. And gosh, I had to be like 10 or something. And you were probably a teenager. I'm not sure, but it happened a lot. But this particular one, we didn't have an air conditioner in that church, so all the windows were opened.
Yes.
And guess what happened through those windows? Do you remember that at all?
I certainly remember that like it was yesterday. And you know, it was like on the back row of the church. We all the teenagers and etc. sat on the back row so we could talk and pass notes and stuff.
And
And
what happened?
well, you know those friendly little bugs that fly around that we don't like wasps
Or yellow jackets or whatever they
or
were.
yellow bees or yellow
But
jackets.
this
It's
one,
kind.
this one was what, a wasp or something like that? I don't know, because I just know it looked like a wasp or yellow jacket. I didn't know in those days.
It
Oh my
didn't
gosh.
matter.
And what it was doing is it was going flying around the whole congregation, and it would zoom, it would dive, whoops, it would dive towards someone's head. And most of the people were oblivious to it. I don't know why, but we weren't. And I
We
was going,
saw it.
ah! I was holding my head like this, and I was going, oh my gosh, I
And
can't believe this. Please, you know, I said, oh Lord, Lord, I'm praying that please make this wasp go away and not let it sting me. I think that's the most I've ever prayed in church.
I think our preacher probably thought that was the most religious group of kids he ever saw in his life back there.
Why is that?
Because we were all with our praying that the wasp would go away, but he didn't know that we were praying. And of course, while I was sitting there and the preacher seeing us all sitting there real still like we're frozen, I had my hands up and I was praying too. Dear Lord, please, when I open my eyes, let that wasp be gone. May it fall on the floor and be gone, or fly back out the window. Please, thank you, Lord.
I did not know that you were praying too for that thing to be gone. I just know I was doing. I thought I was the only one there praying. You were doing it too?
I bet the whole row of us girls were sitting there praying that wasp would leave. I know they were.
And guess what?
They were all praying.
Guess what? God didn't answer our prayers that day. Because that thing nosedived through the whole thing. And we said, now I'm praying, oh dear Lord, please don't let the pastor sing another verse of this song, please, because that thing's coming toward me again. Zoom.
Amen to that. That preacher had the longest invitations, and that was the longest one he ever had that day.
And I feel like at the very ending of this service, when I was actually closing my eyes and praying with the preacher, and we all started leaving, I realized that wasp was gone. You know what I think? I think it went out the door first. Well, what I usually try to do is get out first.
I think the wasp actually was trying to find a way to get out of that place the whole time. And, they
were afraid of us.
Exactly. We were being reverent by putting our hands together, and it probably thought we were trying to slap it. Who knows?
Who knows? But what an adventure.
We had a very prayerful day that day, that's for sure. A segue. Bugs, like I've mentioned before, have always been a part of my life. They've always bugged me.
That's what I was just about to say. It sounds to me like that really bugs you. We must be sisters.
I think our mother may have taught us how to be afraid of bugs. I don't know, but I know one thing. I taught my kids how to be afraid of bugs too. One time, oh my goodness, I went to a theater took my children downtown to a theater. We watched a movie. And when we came out of the show that evening, the street lights were up above us and above my car. and the windows were down. Back then, you didn't lock anything up or anything. Nothing was, people didn't steal like they do nowadays. But anyway, we got in the car. I put my two kids in the back seat and I got in the front seat. Lo and behold, you're looking in the mirror. Well, I wasn't looking in the mirror to look at myself. I just happened to look in the rearview mirror, and guess what I saw?
What did you see?
I saw the biggest grasshopper of all my life in the back window, inside the car. And you know what I did?
I'm not, I have no idea.
Well, I jumped out of that car, opened the back door, and grabbed my kid. Get out, get out, get out, get out, get out. And they said, what are we doing, Mom? Get out of the car. There's a bug. There's a bug. It was huge. I swear it was 4 inches long grasshopper. That dude was the king of all grasshoppers.
Your kids had no idea?
No. And I do not remember how I got it out. If anybody had driven by or walked by and saw this idiot woman out there screaming.
So what did you say to your kids?
I told them there was a bug in the window. Get out, get out. Well, they got out because I taught them how to be afraid of them.
Well, what did they say to you?
Oh, well, they didn't have time to say anything to me. I was jerking their arms, nearly pulled them out of socket, pulling them out of that seat. And I guess I opened all the doors enough to, and I think I threw my purse or something back there, just anything to disturb it, to make it fly out of there. It finally left.
Well, the good news on that story is you were at a drive-in theater?
No,
you were at a movie theater, and
house.
that was afterwards. I can imagine that in a drive-in theater and everybody watching you as you flew out the doors. Oh my gosh. Well, that reminds me of one time me and my sister-in-law were driving down the street, and she was driving. It was a pretty busy street in downtown Lubbock. And all of a sudden, she slammed on her brakes, and we were in the middle. I mean, we weren't at a light or anything. I said, what are you doing?
Why did she slam on her brakes?
That's what I said. That is exactly what I said. I said, what are you doing? We're in the middle of the street. She goes, there's a bee in here. There's a bee in here. And she jumped out of the car and left me in there in the middle of the street for fear of these cars are going to hit us. And then when I realized the bee was in there, I went, what am I sitting here for? And I jumped out of the car. So here's our car sitting in the street, and we're both going, ah, and yelling and screaming at the side of the car. Well, I was oblivious to anybody around us. I think she found some paperwork or something and started flipping it inside there and got the bee out, and we got back in and we left. Needless to say, we kept our windows up from then on.
Yes. Now I bet your air conditioner works good, hopefully.
We didn't have one. We just burned up.
Oh, well, it's better to burn up than have a bee in there stinging you. That is for sure.
So has there ever been a time when you weren't by yourself or with your family that you've embarrassed yourself regarding bugs?
Oh my gosh, yes. Oh my goodness. One time I was assigned, my friends asked me to watch their garden, water it for them, and pick the fruit, whatever, if I wanted to, while they were gone on vacation. Well,
so your friend said what?
They asked me to water.
Oh, your friend said what?
Would you?
Dialogue.
Do you mind watering our vegetables and picking our fruit while we're gone on vacation? I said, well, sure. I'd love to. Well, I'd love to have those tomatoes and those green beans, and I'd love to pick all that stuff. You know, when they go out there around the garden, you know what lives in the gardens besides fruit and vegetables?
Uh, I'm afraid to ask.
Bugs. Well, one particular bug that day happened to be a bumblebee. And
Oh my
no,
gosh.
I'm sorry, it was a June bug. Now,
Oh.
June bugs are big critters, you know, and they're really a pretty little thing. When I was a little child, before I became really fearful of those things, I used to fly those things. I used to tie a string around them and fly them around like a little animal. But no, I was grown, so I had learned how to be afraid of those little big things. Well, yeah, you know, when I was playing with those bugs back when I was a kid, I can just imagine that was probably an ancestor of that bug that I was flying around, because I imagine it was going, help me, help me, help me. And its mother or daddy saw what was going on and it going, I'm going to get you someday. Well, the day had come. I was watering that garden. That bug liked my hairspray or something. I don't know what. And I was out there, and I wasn't all by myself. I did take a friend with me, and she had,
Oh.
as I was saying, I took a friend with me, and she witnessed all of this going on with this bug, but the bug evidently was the ancestor. And it was must have been attracted to the smell of my hairspray. And it was going, aha, the hairspray smells so good. I'm going to go down there and just make myself a nest in that hair. Well, back then we backcombed our hair, you know, and it was all backcombed up and everything. And that bug had plenty of place to land. Well, it started bzzing, bzzing, bzzing around my head, and I had the water hose in my hand. And I started trying to spray it, and I was just screaming, oh, the bug, the bug, the bug. And I was squirting at that bug, and in the meantime, the ground was muddy under me. And I was dancing, trying to get away from this bug, trying to get back at me for tormenting its ancestor. And I fell down in the mud. There I was, squirming like a pig in the mud. And that bug was still diving at me. My friend was laughing her guts out, laughing.
I'll bet you that bug thought you were a chocolate-covered person with all that mud on you.
Was from head to toe mud. And that bug got the biggest laugh of them all that day.
Yes, but the big question I have for you is, did you get your hair all messed up with the water?
I had mud in my hair.
Oh, okay.
Top to bottom.
So there goes.
I actually had to spray myself off before I could leave the garden.
So that beehive hairstyle, that means you had another hour and a half. You had to go get it back in place. That's funny.
Oh, it was just down around my neck.
That's funny.
Okay. Have you got any bug stories to tell? I haven't heard you tell any bug stories. I'm sure there's something.
Well, I joined in on our together bug story at our brother's house. But when I was a little girl, I must have been like 6 years old. I think I was in the first grade, and I was walking home from school by myself, which you could do in those days. We lived about 3 blocks away. And all of a sudden, a grasshopper, they tend to be around a lot, don't they?
Oh,
the grasshopper jumped on my dress. And it was on the front of my dress, down about halfway down the skirt. And I just stood there and I looked at it. And I didn't move. I didn't move for 10 minutes. I didn't move for 15 minutes. I didn't move for 20 minutes. And then someone, I think it was one of my sisters, I'm not sure, turned around and said, "What are you doing? Come on." I said, "I I can't. There's a grasshopper. Well, get it off there. I said, I can't. It's looking at me.
I bet it was. They can look at you, and it was thinking. What was it thinking when it was looking at you?
It was looking at me like it was going to attack my face. No, it actually, it was looking at me. So all I can tell you, it was just looking at me. And you know what's funny about trauma like that is I remember this. It was a big deal to me. And so I think that my sister got whatever she could find, a stick or something to knock it off. She almost beat me to death. But that thing got off there. I don't care if I was killed as long as that grasshopper is off of there. I got home finally about an hour later. You know, one time I had someone who bugged me as my ex-husband.
Now that's the biggest bug of them all right there.
Okay. So what's going on with you?
Well, I had thought of another bug story, and guess what was involved in this bug story?
Oh, it wasn't a grasshopper, was it?
You got it. You
got
it. Oh,
my gosh.
Yes, ma'am. And this may have started my fear of grasshoppers. I don't know. But we had a cousin. We had a lot of cousins back in Oklahoma. They're on our father's side of the family, you know. And there was this one cousin named Johnny. We called him Johnny. Everybody now calls him Chuck. But I called him Johnny back then. He was meaner than the Dickens. And he was playing with those boys were all playing. And there were these bugs all over the place, of course. And they were taking those stinking dang grasshoppers and throwing them at us.
Well, did any of the grasshoppers actually get on you, or just
yes.
The fact that they were coming toward you, or what?
One of them came and landed on my lip.
Oh.
I like to have died. I screamed bloody murder. They thought that was the funniest thing in this whole world, for how the fit that I threw because a stupid bug landed on my lip. But you know, it just clamped onto me, and I was slapping it off and everything, and knocked it off and got out of the yard and went in the house. I guess I got out of that yard. I don't know if our brother was actually playing in that game.
What was Johnny doing when he saw that bug get on your lip?
Laughing. He thought that was the funniest thing he ever heard. I never heard of anybody being afraid of a little old grasshopper.
Well, that reminds me of when my niece, our brother's little girl, was being babysat by Mama and Daddy, you know, and she came running through the doors saying, "A hoscropper, a hoscropper, a hoscropper, a hoscropper." They said, "What?" And then they realized she was so scared she was saying grasshopper backwards. Ever since then, I have a tendency in public around other people to say a hoscropper.
Well, that is a very new one on me because I hadn't heard that.
Oh, you hadn't?
Now, thank you very much for gluing that in my mind. I'll never say grasshopper correctly again, hoscropper.
Well, I hope we've bugged you all enough today with our bug stories. I'm sure everybody has their, we got so many more in this chest of ours of unknowns, but
well, just don't let bugs bug you. You know, just stay away from them, wear bug repellent, and you're going to be all right. Reckon?
No. It'll go on. It'll go on forever. Well, anyway, thank you everybody for listening to our make no sense, random thoughts, random subjects, because of our daddy who made up that name out loud, a gizmo, which makes no sense, but he used it all the time. And so we're using it right now. Right, Andy?
Oh, yes. Out loud, a gizmo.
A gizmo. You have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Bye, y'all.